Hello, everybody. This is Benjamin and Lisa Shield, and we are so excited to be here with you this morning. We are talking today about photographs, online dating photos. This is a big deal. Many of you might think that your pictures or your profile don't matter when you're online, that you can just throw up some of your best photos and that you can just put together a short profile and that nobody really looks at those things. I'm here to tell you I was a professional fashion photographer for 15 years, and I know the power of great photos. One of the things I notice, one of the major mistakes I see many women and men making online is throwing up pictures that really are not representative of who you truly are, and using whatever photos you just have, thinking, okay, I'm going to pick, the very best of all the photos that have ever been taken of me, and I'm just going to put those up and those will be sufficient. Women, men, whether you like it or not, are visual. They are visual. One of my big insights with all of this was I used to resent that. I used to find it, babe, really, as a woman, I really thought that that was a horrible thing, right? To think that men, first and foremost, had to be physically attracted to me. That made me feel like a sex object. It didn't, as a woman who values her mind in many ways more than her physical appearance, I wanted to be appreciated for who I was on the inside, not just what I looked like on the outside. And that felt awful to me to know that that was true. As I've been coaching and as I've been doing this work, and I've really thought about this idea that men are visual and what that really means to a man from a male perspective. I like very much to put myself inside the mind of a man and look at women in the way that a man might see us. And one of the things I realized was that, and I don't know why this isn't talked about more, is that it's one thing when a man is pursuing a woman, when, he's in chase mode, and the chase is what's turning him on, right? The chase and the conquest. But for a man to be physically turned on by a woman over and over and over again in a relationship, she really does have to be his type, right? Isn't that true? Like for him to get an erection and to be able to be physically aroused by this woman, not once or twice, or, because they're having an affair or because it's a high drama relationship and that's manufacturing the passion, but to truly feel turned on by a woman during the course of a lifetime, right, together, you have to be physically attracted to her.
Right. And the one thing I agree with everything you said. The one thing I would add to it is that the photos may attract men who had a preconception of what their type was, but they're deeply attracted to a photograph of something very different. And in this next hour, we'll talk about some of those things that will attract a man, beyond his preset limitations. Yeah.
I think that's really a turn on to women because many of us feel so limited, like we can dress in nice clothes and we can, show our skin and whatever, but there is a limit. We're not all born looking like Charlize Theron. But the photos can go a long way. Let's talk about, can we start with my picture?
Right. Well, I fell in love with Lisa's picture before I fell in love with Lisa. And it wasn't, like a shallow, like, wow, this woman is hot, which you were and are. But Lisa's photograph, when I saw it, Lisa was against an simple orange background. and she had her head tilted back a little bit, and she was laughing, almost like smiling. And my immediate reaction was to smile back.
Aww.
That this is a person that I not only could have fun with on a first date, but if I would extrapolate, 1 year and 5 years and 30 years later, that we would have fun in our lives together.
And how many pictures did I have up, honey?
I just remember that one.
Because that's all there was.
And I actually printed that picture out and had it on my desk for ages.
No.
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Yeah. And then until just became outdated, and we had other pictures of ourselves, on my desk, but in my office.
Oh, right.
But
right.
But I had it for a
framed.
long time. Yeah, I had it framed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so it was inviting. It was approachable. I could see myself with her. It showed that she would add to my life, that our lives together would be fun. And it also wasn't a portrait. It wasn't just a static photo of someone smiling. I mean, Lisa's smile was a natural smile, so it showed the wrinkles in her eyes. It wasn't, you can tell when a smile is fabricated. And, it's just, in some ways, it leaves someone just cold.
Mm-hmm.
It has almost the negative effect.
Yeah, well, I was actually laughing. Like, I think I was leaning back against a wall, just kind of laughing. And it was just one picture. Like, I didn't even know that you needed to have a full length, like a body shot. And like in those days, nobody was there were no guidelines, right? And so I just had that one photo of me laughing against an orange wall in a brown shirt.
My photo on the other hand, was black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a portrait. I didn't know what I was doing. I just picked a photograph, and I'd done some books, and I used the black and white photograph, which used black and white for a book jacket. And so,
what else do you use black and white photos for, honey?
Right.
If you're an actor, you use them for headshots.
For headshots, yeah. So Lisa thought I was an out-of-work actor or waiter.
Right, because we were living in Los Angeles at the time, and almost a lot of guys online were out-of-work actors, and they had, sort of vague careers. They would have they would be an actor, but maybe they'd be doing something else on the side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to overcome my photograph. My photograph didn't add to me or really describe who I was. It wasn't a lifestyle photograph, and we'll talk about what lifestyle photographs are. But in the other photographs that I did for the book jacket, and I did these 4 books with a friend, Richard Carlson, who wrote the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series. And we would play Rodney Dangerfield comedy albums in the background, and we would be just cracking up and laughing naturally, And so, I would encourage you, to, well, first, and we'll get into professional a photographer and photography, and how important that is, and how a great photographer can really bring out, your creative side, your essence,
Mm-hmm.
the naturalness, the fun, the playfulness. So we'll talk about that.
It's also a huge thing, at least in my course. So I do a 12-week course called Emotionally Naked Dating. And in the 4th week, we have the women hire a professional photographer. And for many of the women who go through the course, this is one of the most transformational pieces of this whole experience, because they have never had professional photos done, and they've never seen themselves look as beautiful as they do in these professional photos. So it's a whole awakening for many of the women to actually see them photographed by somebody who has an experienced eye and can get their best angles and can bring out their personality. Many of the women who go through the course will mention at the end that this was one of the highlights for them.
Yeah. And to reiterate some very important things that you've said so far, is that photos are important.
Yeah.
It's not something that we should be shy about. They're the first things men see.
Mm-hmm.
They're a first impression. So men will see the photographs and then decide to read the profiles.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes we just feel like, when they get to know me, that's what's important. I'm not going to really, display myself. But yes, because the profiles on apps are perhaps 300 characters or less,
Mm-hmm.
They really can't get to know you. So we want the photographs not only to be attractive, but to truly represent who you are. And also, to reiterate something that you said that's very important, is professional photography. We don't want selfies. Selfies can be a little weird. They can be distorted.
Mm-hmm.
They can, they can have odd angles, weird angles, but they also look cheap.
Right.
And the purpose of dating is to ultimately find the guardian of your soul. And that should be first and foremost. That should be the top of the list, the most important thing in one's life. And it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put out a selfie or a cheap photo or something grainy, it tells the person looking at that photograph that, this isn't that important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you not only want to present and project that this is very important to you, but when you're responding to profiles, you want to respond to a profile where a man is taking that same interest, that he's looking for the guardian of soul and not just doing a selfie wearing a bath towel, looking in the mirror
with the camera held down here.
Right. And we've seen those.
Uh-huh.
And I think also what's important with photographs is honesty. And we want to put our best self forward, but we want to be honest. So we don't want it overly retouched. We don't want to have too much makeup. And we don't want to use something that's so out of date. Like, this is my favorite photograph. It's from 7 years ago. I had a different hairstyle, I had a different hair color. And what we don't want is when the man opens the door, your front door, or you meet, across the table at a Starbucks, that there's not an immediate disappointment, that he's expecting this and he gets this. He's expecting someone, 7 or 12 years younger, and the person that shows up, or someone the photograph is highly retouched. So honesty is really, really important.
So babe, let me pause you for a second there, because a lot of women will say, but if I hire a professional photographer, I'm not going to look as good as those professional photos. If I post photos that are not so good, then when he sees me, I'm going to make a better, he's going to think, wow, she looks better than her pictures.
Well, a great photographer, and they're out there, they're in every city. And it's just really finding the ones that aren't just the wedding photographers that, shoot the stock photographs, but that we want photographers that capture personality, sensuality, that creativity. And
photographers that capture the moment. So not somebody who poses you and sticks you up against a wall, but a photographer who's going to draw out your personality. As I was a photographer, like I said, for 15 years, and part of working with a great photographer is finding someone who doesn't just have a great eye, but a photographer like my friend Simone, who does most of my photos besides you, babe. My husband is one of my favorite photographers, but she has such a beautiful, vibrant personality that when you shoot with Simone, she's able to just get you out of your head. You start laughing and playing when you're with her, and you forget that you're in front of the camera. So when you're searching for photographers online, don't just pick a photographer based on the photos. Also look at the pictures of the photographer himself or herself and see, does that photographer have a personality? Do I feel, from the pictures of the photographer, that photographer will be able to draw out something in me? Because those photos have to do not just with the photographer's eye and ability to pose you and all, but the photographer's ability to connect with you and draw you out. So make sure you even check out the photographer and see if you feel like, I like the way he or she looks. I like the photos that photographer chose of himself or herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
Yeah. And it will show the playful, the creative side, those things that a man would want to be with, and the approachable side. And what both men and women want in a relationship is playfulness, is fun. When on our first date, and some people have heard this before, but I asked you what you're looking for, and you, I'm paraphrasing, but you said, I've done all this work for all these years, and now I'm done processing. I'm really looking for a man to have fun with. And I silently put my hands together and said, thank you, God. Because that's what both people want. They don't want a serious relationship, someone looking, like a, 19th century portrait, without expression or stern, or just, showing beauty, but not personality.
Yeah. So you want a photographer who's going to ideally put you out in natural light. You can also get that inside an apartment or a home through windows and all, but you want to use natural light. They've shown on OkCupid, they've done studies, and natural light photos get the highest response rate as compared to artificial light and studio photos. You never want to use pictures that you would use for business, especially if you're a woman. A man can get away with it. It might be okay for a man to show himself at a conference or in a business setting. A woman might be very turned on by that. But conversely, for women, you don't want to use your business photos for your online dating, right? You want to make it playful and fun. A great photographer will take you out to a park or a beach where you can move, where you're not standing there like this. I mean, there may be some pictures where they do some photos just to get the angles on your face and to position you to do some portraits, right? Or headshots. But then you want pictures where you're playing and laughing and, just getting you in front of the camera, just being you. And that's what a great photographer is going to do.
Yeah. And again, a photograph that is approachable, that a man would like to just put himself in that photograph with the woman. And, some of the things that would attract a man is some sensuality without being overtly sexual. We don't want beach shots, in bikinis or anything overtly sexual, but things like touching your hair, putting your hand on your throat, just those subtle things that show sensuality. That is really attractive to a man.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I know a lot of people, we just had an instance where we have a client and she had been dating for a while. Her online dating slowed down, and Benjamin and I took a look at her photographs, and it was her pictures were beautiful. She's a stunningly beautiful woman. But when we looked at some other photographs of her, she actually had some beautiful pictures of her that were so much more captivating than the ones that she was using, right? And some of the photos were a little too posed. I mean, she looked very sexy in them, but we had her put up these more natural photos that were so captivating. So it's funny. I really think it's important to have somebody with an objective eye who really knows what they're doing help you select your photos. This is what Benjamin and I do when we're working with women in my course, in my 12-week emotionally naked dating course. And Benjamin, the women will actually have their photo shoots done. I used to pick the pictures, but I now realize that I can't pick the photos that would appeal to a man. Benjamin has to pick the pictures. And we used to go through them together. He would look at the photos and he would pick the ones that he thought were wonderful. What's some of the criteria, babe, that you use when you're looking at photos? Because I know it's not just the one where the woman looks the prettiest. You're looking for something else.
Well, I'm looking to be drawn into the photograph, and a smile, a natural smile will draw them in. And if a picture tells a little bit of a story, like if it looks like there's something going on in that person's mind, something fun, something interesting, rather than just a static picture. And often the woman will be looking into the camera, not away. And even though we all have one side that may be better and more attractive than another side, when a man sees a picture of a woman, he wants to imagine that the woman is looking back at him. Yeah. And so it's that communication. So if she's looking off to the side, then, it doesn't draw him in. But, if she's looking at him and there's that immediate connection, the eyes to eyes. Also, he wants to see her. So in some photographs, that we rejected, the woman is wearing sunglasses, maybe sunglasses and a bicycle helmet, or a complete ski outfit.
You're like, where is she?
Right. And some photos are at a distance. Like if someone is a skier, there may be this beautiful scene and they're somewhere in the background.
Right.
It does nothing for the man. Yeah.
And what about like a picture with pets or, too many animals? What about that?
Well, I feel that pictures should be of you and you alone. And, something not to do is to have a photograph that's a great photo of you with other people, and it's so clear that you've cut out the other people. Like somehow it's just you, but there's a hand on your shoulder.
Yeah, or you and all your hot girlfriends or something. Like, why would a guy? You may be pretty or whatever, but they can't. They may look at the picture and be more attracted to one of your friends than you, or I don't know why somebody would set themselves up that way.
Right. And I did everything wrong, 20 years ago. I sent you a photograph and I wanted to show you my Bernese Mountain Dog, Jonah, who I loved. And I had an assistant, for many years, Andra, and there was a picture of Andra walking the dog. And so I sent it to you, and you just assumed it was this hot. What did you?
Well, I just was like, why is he sending me a picture of some hot woman walking his dog? I thought that was really bizarre. If he was trying to make me feel good, and even if it was his assistant, I think you did say that was your assistant or something, but there was a little voice and I was like, okay, why are you sending me that picture?
So, try to have the photos of you and you alone, because a man wants to picture how it is with you more than how it is with your, 3 dogs, or whatever it might be. And it's also important, we're talking about, not having anything too retouched so that someone is disappointed when they see you, or it just looks retouched in the photograph. And a man can only imagine what a woman would look like if the photo weren't retouched.
Right.
So we want to use minimal makeup, natural light, and having it in color. So those things. Let's see what other. When we have a full body shot, we want to show our full body. So we don't want to wear any clothing that's too loose. Even if we have a few extra pounds, loose clothing will accentuate that.
Right.
So we really want to, men, you have a phrase about, I forgot who had said it, but no matter how big someone's rear is or what.
Oh, it was from a workshop that I did. And this guy was saying, get over it, ladies. If you've got a butt, there's some guy out there digging on your butt. So he was just saying, like, get over it. There's somebody, you fit somebody's body type, and there are men who are into you. If you're a woman, someone's looking at your butt and going, nice butt.
Yeah. And the color of the clothes that you wear is important. I mean, like red will stop a man's eyes. Like if he's looking at a bunch of photographs and suddenly there's a woman that's wearing red, whether it's a red top or a full dress, ideally a full dress, it's going to stop him in his tracks.
Yeah, it's like a stop sign. So when I was a fashion photographer, one of the things that we knew was that when somebody has a magazine in front of them and they're flipping through the pages, a lot, you may look at some fashion ads and think, oh my God, what were they thinking? And this is so horrible. But many, many times companies like Moschino and people, that really forward fashion companies would do these outlandish pictures just to get you to stop, because normally you're just flipping, kind of, you're sitting at the salon or something and you're just flipping pages and then something grabs your attention. That's what red does. When someone is just flipping through profiles and looking at picture after picture after picture, they all start to blend together. So when you have a red dress or a red top, especially in your primary photo, it will stop the guy's attention and get him to look at you just like a stop sign will.
So you should have about 4 photos, and 4 would be ideal because it could show you in different ways. It could show you from the shoulders up or from the waist up. It could show a full body shot. It can show you doing an activity that you enjoy, showing that you're passionate about something, an activity. And so we want 4 diverse photographs.
And one dressed up.
And one, exactly.
When Benjamin says diverse, it doesn't mean that you should look distinctly different in each photo. You gotta look like the same person. Right. Some people have photos where, especially men do this, where he looks one way in one picture, one way in another. He looks like 4 different guys, and that's not good either. And you do want one where you're dressed up, where you look like, hey, this is what I look like in a little dark dress, or if I were going out for the evening. But you do not want all of your photos to look like that. There has to be something where you're natural, where you may have just come out of a yoga class or something. Another one where you have just a beautiful natural portrait, and maybe one where you're dressed up to go out for the evening.
Yeah. And a man wants to picture a woman that he'd be proud of having at his side at an office dinner or at a conference or a black tie affair, that when they walk into the room, the eyes would be on both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And again, something Lisa had said that in choosing your photographs, I would have someone else choose them for you, particularly a man, because what we might choose for ourselves and what a man might choose, as Lisa had mentioned, may be very different. So, maybe pick your favorite dozen photos and then give them to a guy, give them to a couple guys, see what draws them, because it may not be the same ones that you would pick.
Yeah. So when you're looking for photographers, I usually do this for my clients. So I will go online and I will search in a particular area and I will look up Portland lifestyle photographers or Los Angeles lifestyle photographers. Now, when you do this, you're mostly going to get pictures where it says lifestyle of families and kids and whatever, or you're going to get a lot of wedding photos. But here's the thing, a great wedding photographer can capture the moment. So you're not looking for all those just posed pictures where everybody's lined up and you've got, everybody just all the standard classic wedding photos. You're looking for a wedding photographer, an engagement photographer, or a family photographer who captures moments, who captures the family, a beautiful composition of a mother looking up at her baby with love in her eyes, or a couple walking down the beach together, hand in hand, laughing, or that look, that moment where there's chemistry and they look in each other's eyes and, and you see the love, but you're looking for a photographer who can capture moments, who can create moments and then capture them. So lifestyle photographer, and then look for ones. You may have to go through 20, 30, I will go through almost every single photographer in a particular area and select the very best ones I can find. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get some professional photos. And it is not true. If you are, in a white blouse and natural makeup, I have almost no makeup on. I have light foundation. I've got on a little bit of blush and I have on mascara. That's it. That's what I have my clients wear when I shoot them. So it doesn't take much. I curled my own hair and I would go and do a photo shoot just like this. So it doesn't have to be fancy. If you want, you can go to the MAC counter and you can have them do for, I think, $50 or $60 and a free mascara. You get your makeup done by a professional. These are all professional makeup artists. And in almost every major city, they have a MAC counter. You just book an appointment right before your photo shoot. They also have blowout bars where for $50, you can get your hair blown out. And in bigger cities, I know in Los Angeles, we had something called In Los Angeles, we had something called Glam Squad, where you could call them and book your hair and makeup, and they would come right to the house, and it takes them between the hair and the makeup. It's all done in an hour, and you're good to go. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. You can keep it simple, but so I had one client who was just beautiful. And she said to me, I don't want to put up the best photos of myself. She was shy about her own beauty and didn't want to attract too much attention to her. And this woman, stunning Asian woman, absolutely gorgeous. But the truth is, you are going to miss out on so many great guys if you don't do that. It is a form of self-sabotage not to have good photos. It's almost like you're saying, I'm just going to half-ass it, right? I'm just going to give it not my full effort. And a lot of us are afraid to give this our full effort because what if I give it my all and then I fail, right? So if I put up mediocre photos or if I just do the minimal effort on my profile, then I can always in the back of my mind just kind of say, well, I was just dabbling, right?
Mhm.
Babe, I mean, you see this.
Yeah. Yeah. And also going back to something you said about makeup is that not only does a man want to envision what it would be like, 5 and 15 years and beyond, waking up next to someone. If someone has, a lot of makeup on, they can't really visualize that. So they can't put themselves in that picture with that woman. And also if a woman is wearing, she may look great with, really heavy lipstick, like bright red or something,
Yeah.
but it's not kissable.
Ah.
And so a natural, lip gloss or whatever, or minimal lipstick, just so a man could imagine what, he would look like after kissing someone, and he would have, kind of look like a clown, with the big red lips around his face, and it really, no man wants that.
Right.
So, you want to seem approachable, what it will be like to be with, you and to be with you.
Mhm. Yeah. What turns you on about a photo, honey? Like, what is it that when you see a photo and you really go, wow?
Well, kindness, approachability,
Mhm.
and perhaps most of all, that someone is in their body. That someone could be, just this beautiful Ford model and posing, and it is a stunning picture. She is wearing a gown. It is a knockout. But there's almost like a layer or a filter between the photograph and the viewer. And so when a woman is in her body with a true lifestyle photograph, that's extremely attractive. I once mentioned to you that if I were at a red light and, a beautiful woman, and let's say in Los Angeles, where it's not uncommon, and someone is crossing the street and they've got, hair that's really made up and makeup and, tight clothing and high heels that they seem uncomfortable walking. If they're walking across the street, it may catch my attention, but not for not for a while, just for momentary. But if someone, regardless of their looks or their age, is in their body and they're walking across the street, my eyes are going to follow them from curb to curb.
Yeah.
Because it's incredibly attractive. So, it's, someone who's kind, approachable, in their body, playful, all
full
of
of
those
life,
things.
enjoying life.
Full of life, exactly.
So let me ask you, I know one of the women that you find stunningly beautiful is Penelope Cruz. I'm going to bust you and put you on the spot here. Benjamin likes to joke when we see Penelope Cruz movies that she's sending him subliminal messages in the film. That when she looks at the camera, she's really looking at him. I want to know, what is it? I mean, I know that she's just a stunningly beautiful woman, but what else is it about her, or, who you see her being that's so attractive to you?
Well, there's a passion and a playfulness, and a sensuality, without being overtly sexual, without having to wear a lot of makeup, without having your hair overly done. There's so much that's attractive about a natural beauty. And natural beauty could be with any woman, regardless of age or what color your hair is, or what size your body is or isn't. If there's passion and playfulness and aliveness and approachability, that is and
a huge turn on.
Yeah.
There's another woman, just, as a sort of to show the difference here. There was a presidential candidate who you found very attractive.
Oh, right. I'm trying to remember the name of the senator from Minnesota. It's escaping me right now.
Yeah, me too.
And she, by all standards, would not be beautiful, would not have the perfect body, but looking at her, she was comfortable in her skin, and she was confident. Amy Klobuchar, and this is a middle-aged woman or beyond. Again, not perfect anything as far as traditional beauty standards, but her confidence, her
intelligence,
her presence,
her warmth,
exactly.
Yeah.
All that was extremely attractive, and none of those qualities, would fit into if someone were saying the perfect, beautiful face or body. But I found her very attractive.
Yeah, and she was always, even when she was debating somebody, there was never meanness. She had a kindness and a glint in her eye.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about her that I know you found her very attractive. Yeah, you mentioned that she was somebody that you would be very attracted to. Yeah. Not going to happen. Not as long as I'm here. So I think what's so important is for everyone to remember that it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if you sit back and say, well, most people, especially men, don't put much attention on the photos, right? They don't put much energy, much effort into this. And it isn't true. Like, don't use that as an excuse just because you see other people half-assing it, I know one of the sayings that I love in 12-step programs is that they say half measures avail us nothing, right? Half measures avail us nothing. If you do things halfway, then, you get to sit back and say, well, I never gave it my full effort, right? And so, I never really applied myself. Apply yourself, go for broke, give this your all, put the energy, the attention, the love into putting your true self out there in the most authentic, way that you possibly can, in the most emotionally naked way. You're never going to get what you truly want in life unless you give it your all and take huge risks to have that.
Right. And again, keeping your eye on the prize, and the eye on the prize is finding the guardian of your soul, and to be the guardian of someone else's soul, and of your partner's soul. So this should be the most important thing.
Yeah.
And someone looking at the photograph should understand, because if they're looking for the same thing you're looking for, which is the type of person you want to have that first date with, that you want them to see, wow, this is important to her as it is to me. And if someone just throws up a casual photograph, they're saying, well, she doesn't really care. This isn't first and foremost in her life as it is in mine. And he may just pass it by.
Well, yeah. And people who are living life at the highest level and want the best, they're looking for the best. They want to see people who take life seriously, who are serious about life,
right,
but who take life seriously. You have to take life seriously. You have to look at the parts of your life that are meaningful, where you want great things, and you have to approach it with the level of intention and consciousness, right? That are going to bring you the people who are like-minded. So don't be afraid to be the best you can possibly be and put your best self out in front of the world, in front of men, right? I know it's scary. I know how scary that feels, because if I really try and fail, what then, right? What then? If I really give this my all and it doesn't happen, what does that say about me? And I say to you, what if you don't give it your all? What if you don't take this all seriously and really put yourself out there like your life depends on it, so that you can have the kind of love? If you're going to go for something great, then you have to be great. You have to risk everything to have that. And it may seem silly, but it can start with something like your photographs, just stepping back and saying, well, my photographs are good. They're good enough, but could I do better? Could I have better photos? Could I look prettier? Could I hire? Look, I take thousands of photographs of myself. I mean, thousands, and I never felt beautiful. I never felt photogenic. Part of how I became more beautiful to myself and more photogenic was actually by being in front of the camera and developing a relationship with the camera. I felt more comfortable behind the camera than I did in front of the camera. And now I've learned to kind of love the camera and love pictures of myself. And I'll tell you, the more I've loved myself, it's been an interesting relationship with the camera. The camera's a real mirror, but the more I've seen myself looking beautiful in pictures, the more beautiful I've felt. It's actually been an incredible experience. I think for you too, honey. What is your experience of what is your relationship to the camera?
Well, I don't have quite the same relationship you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes resist having my photo taken in lifestyle when we're out and about and we hand an iPhone to someone to snap our pictures. And I'm always grateful for the photographs we've taken, to look back on those moments and to see different sides of me. Because when I look in the mirror, I usually have one look.
Can you do it? What's the look?
Well, I have to be in front of the mirror. And it's interesting to see the different sides of me with a natural photograph during natural settings, natural activities. And it's taught me it's had me learn more about myself in seeing the different expressions and there are many, many photographs I really cherish and I go back and look at, not necessarily adoringly that it shows me these different parts of myself that are, and even in a single photo shoot, that it can do that.
Yeah.
So it's been very valuable. It's been like, several psychology sessions put together, just saying, yeah, that's me, and that's me, and that's me, and that's me.
Yeah.
And all of it's me. And I could use many of them if I were, in the dating world and using them as photographs, because they represent me.
Yeah, it's actually a great idea just to do more photos of yourself, to actually have people take more photos. And also, I urge all of you to stop telling yourself the story of that I don't look good, in front of the camera, like I don't take good pictures. I really ask you to let go of that story. I think that we tell ourselves that story and then that becomes our truth. And what happens is you get in front of the camera and you're very stiff because you believe that you don't look good in photos. And then it becomes a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. And so you got to let go of that story that I don't take good photos or I don't look good in pictures. I never did. I never, ever, ever felt I looked good in photos. But the truth was, I didn't like myself. I wasn't happy with me. And as I've grown and as I've become more open and more emotionally available, more loved in our relationship, I have felt more beautiful over time. And I love pictures of myself today, but that's because I let go of that story that I can't be beautiful or that I can't like the way I look in pictures. I mean, I'll never be Charlize Theron, but I don't even know if I could handle being that beautiful. I mean, honestly.
Well, you are more beautiful and you're more approachable. Like someone like Charlize Theron,
yeah,
is gorgeous, but can a man picture himself with her and going out to to dinner, or like a casual dinner, or a baseball game? No, and so it's like being in a museum. You could appreciate things, but you really can't picture yourself.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie 10, the one with Bo Derek and Dudley Moore.
Right.
Do you remember? This was a movie from like the 80s, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, where Dudley Moore was this little bitty guy and he was infatuated with this stunningly beautiful woman who had braids and her hair was beaded. It was kind of a style, it became a fashion style for a minute. And he was having these fantasies of making love to her and seducing her, making love to her. And then he actually got her into bed and they were making love and these beaded braids kept falling into his mouth and getting in the way. And he had to keep pushing them out. Do you remember this? I mean, it was a nightmare. The fantasy and the reality did not fit together. It was so funny. But yeah, it's kind of like that. I think the fantasy of actually having a woman like that and then the reality of being with someone like that would be different, right? And yeah, no, and I think the beauty, like what's so amazing about all of this is that we've gotten more attractive. We love each other so much that we bring that out in each other. But I also know that beauty really is from the inside out, and that we watch women go through my course or through the course that we both are doing now together. And it's fascinating to see the women start the course, and then 5 or 6 weeks into the course, they start to look younger and younger and younger and more radiant and beautiful as they go through this course. In fact, I've said sometimes it's the world's cheapest facelift because the women look 10 years younger by the end of the course because they've let go of stress. They feel empowered in this part of their lives.
More feminine.
More feminine. They get their new pictures and they see how beautiful they are in a way that they've never seen themselves. And it's really a beautiful, it's the onion, the layers of the onion being pulled back as they go through this transformational process that we're walking them through. And it's magical to see what they look like at the end of 12 weeks. And many of the women who go through the course actually find their partners in that time. So it's pretty extraordinary. But a huge piece of this is the photographs. And the truth is, loving yourself means loving the way you look in a photo, being able to start to love and accept that image of you. So many of you say, I love myself. But when you look at photographs of yourself, do you love the person that you see staring back at you in that photo? Because that's telling. That is telling. We can say, oh, I love myself and I, value who I am and I have so much to offer. But how do you feel when you look into the eyes of that woman or that man staring back at you in those photos? Because that's a true test of how much you love yourself. And you really do need to start to fall in love with that person looking back at you. And when you do, some man or some woman online is going to look in the eyes of that same person and fall in love with him or her.
And just like I have that photograph of Lisa in my mind so often that I reflect, and it makes me smile, and it just brings even more love to my heart when I think of that photograph. Some man will be thinking of that photograph or those photographs where he first saw you years later and in your relationship, and just think how beautiful, how approachable, how much he would want to meet you and get to know you.
Yeah. Yep. So I just wanted to see here if there were any questions. A lot of wonderful women here tuning in. Yes, Cynthia, these are recorded for future viewing. You can find them on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find them on our new podcast. I have 2 new podcasts starting. We are turning this into a podcast. So Getting Inside the Right Male Mind will be a podcast of its own. And then I have a new second podcast that's debuting. I believe it's this Tuesday, and it's called Dating Without Drama. So Amal says, Lisa, you are so open-minded. I will not let my husband look at the pretty butt of another woman. He must be very trusted. Otherwise, you would not let him look that much. Well, I got to tell you, I trust this man, and I know that any healthy man is looking at other women. If he's not, then that's his problem. Then there's something wrong there, because men are hardwired to be looking at beautiful women. It doesn't look. Here's the difference. I know that there's no other woman out there like me. Right? I mean, I'm the full package for this guy. He couldn't find another woman who would love him as much as I do, who turns him on as much, who would do anything in the world to make his life brighter and bigger and more fun. So yeah, there's other women that he's going to look at and say, oh, isn't she lovely or isn't she attractive? But nobody meets him or will ever meet him on as many levels as I do.
Right. And this is a subject for another podcast. But the goal that we have for each other is to be guardians of each other's souls and to make our world bigger, not more restricted.
I would never let my jealousy ever put that on you and make your world smaller or ask you to dumb yourself down or be less of who you are, so that I can feel comfortable in this relationship. I picked you because I feel safe with you, because I know who you are, and I trust you with every cell in my being.
So, getting back to the photographs.
Yes.
So, again, these are first impressions. And if you're walking into an interview, or if you're walking into a first date, you know how important the first impressions can be. So the photographs even precede that, because before there even is a first date, there's the photograph. And even before people read your profile, no matter how intelligent or funny it is, if they don't get past the photograph, they're not going to read the profile.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, everybody, develop a relationship, a rapport with the camera. Start to love that person staring back at you, right? Look for that beautiful love between you and the person in that picture staring back at you. Let go of that story that you don't look good in photographs, and start to look for the person in the photographs that you love and want to be loved. So take a risk, put your full self out there, stop half-assing it, and make sure that you are giving this your all. The photographs matter. You have one chance to make a first impression, and those photos are the first impression you will be making on that guardian of your soul, right? If you meet him online. So please make sure you get a professional photographer who is a lifestyle photographer, not posed, natural. Make those photos playful and fun as you can. I am Lisa Shield, and this is Benjamin Shield. Please tune in again every Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time for Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. On Mondays at noon Mountain Time, I do Lunch with Lisa, and on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, I do Live with Lisa. You can find the link to all of these on my Facebook page, Lisa Shield Dating and Relationships. Just click the like button and all of the announcements will be posted there. You can also find my podcast. It should be starting this coming Tuesday. It's called Dating Without Drama.
And how do we find that?
And you can find that anywhere you get your podcast. So it will be on Apple Podcast, it will be on Spotify. Anywhere you find podcasts, you will find both of these. I send you all so much love and light. Benjamin joins me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, and please give us a thumbs up or a heart or something to let us know that you enjoyed this. And finally, if anybody has any suggestions, anything that you would like us to do a talk on, we get some of our best suggestions from you. So please go to Lisa, just send me an email, lisa@lisashield.com. I read these personally, and please give me your suggestions. Anything you'd like to hear Benjamin and me talk about, let us know. Love to everybody. Happy Sunday. Bye-bye.